Thank you, sir. Mr. Schweikert from Arizona is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is the proper term Deputy Secretary?
Deputy Assistant Secretary.
Deputy Assistant. That gets a little long, doesn't it?
It does.
Forgive me for, because I think you actually have one of the most fascinating jobs someone could have if you're a tax geek. But I think actually one of the things you just said was a little duplicitous, so forgive me for being cruel. So we're here 2 years from now, after what you're calling the victory has functionally timed out. What's the effect 24 months or 36 months from now then compared to today? Not what our friends across the other parts of the world on tax receipts. What's good for America?
Well, I think, as I mentioned, the JCT analysis shows
No, stop, Mr. What you said is the JCT analysis, if we did nothing. I'm just asking, ceteris paribus, then till 36 months from now. Do we have more tax receipts or less?
I'm sorry, what's the hypothetical? If the U.S. does nothing?
Today, 3 years from now.
3 years from now.
It's not hard.
And the U.S. does what?
Nothing. No. Just from today's tax receipts
to
this new scheme, as we'll call it, what happens to U.S. tax receipts? Are they up or down?
The JCT analysis
The JCT analysis was based on the concept that if we did nothing and our trading partners did something. I'm just asking, are we up or down?
The JCT analysis does not answer that question. It shows
Actually, it alludes to it.
I'm sorry?
Please go on.
It does not answer that question. It shows a range, a variable range of $400 billion. Again, the midpoint of that range is an increase in U.S. tax receipts of $25 billion.
Really? Because we whiteboarded this last night, and we actually had just the opposite. That once we got beyond the 2-year reprieve that it seems so joyful, we actually had the U.S. Receipts going down. Why do you believe we see the difference? I'm not asking for you to talk about JCT. You have smart people over with Treasury. What are you seeing?
I'm not an estimator. The Treasury estimators have estimated the effects of enacting the president's budget proposals, which would enact Pillar 2, and those raise considerable revenue for the U.S.
Okay, so we agree to this, and that's with the 2 years, and even with what you've also done in regards to R&D tax credits, and how that amortization is treated, and you actually see receipts going up. And do you think that's what the next panel is going to tell us?
I don't know what the next panel is going to tell you.
So you haven't read any of their testimony?
I have not.
Really? I'm glad for the level of professionalism we're dealing with. You're making our job more difficult, because for many of us, we're trying to just defend, are we taking in receipts? Does this increase U.S. economics and opportunity and jobs? Or are we basically giving it away? Because we have other analysts coming to us and saying, this is not actually good for the robustness of an American economy. Okay, in the last minute we have here or so, walk me through what's happening on R&D credits.
So with respect to R&D credits, this is an issue that we've heard quite a bit of input from Congress and from U.S. businesses and other stakeholders on. It is an issue that we have raised in negotiations.
What's happening with them?
By what's happening with them, you mean how are they treated under Pillar 2?
How are they being treated, and how does it affect U.S. Economic expansion?
Yeah, so U.S. R&D credits generally are non-refundable. There's a small portion that is refundable, but typically for taxpayers who are within scope of Pillar 2, they would be non-refundable. That would reduce the effective tax rate. It would be treated as a reduction in taxes.
And therefore it would be subject to?
It would depend on the effective tax rate of the taxpayer. So it would reduce the effective tax rate of the taxpayer.
And so therefore be subjected to the functionally the OECD sanction?
It could be. It could be the taxpayer could be subject to top-up tax, depending on the effective tax rate of the taxpayer.
Mr. Chairman, sorry it took so long to get there, but something we all claim we sort of agree upon is now somewhat put at risk on how it's being modeled, particularly in the tax rate. So with that, I yield back.